What's up, everybody? And welcome to the NotBland Show. And I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And I'm excited for tonight. We're going to talk a little drag racing. We're going to have on WCW 10-time Tag Team World Champion Stevie Ray, half of the Harlem Heat with WCW. And we'll talk to Jason Bunker here on the backside of this show. Man, after having a rough weekend to start, blew that new body to smithereens, and they came out and had a really nice Sunday. So looking forward to talking to him about the resurgence that they had on Sunday. And I think they found something this Sunday after all of the shenanigans that went down during qualifying. Of course, as always, if you're new to this show, please like, subscribe, share. I know subscription thing is hard for some people, and it may not seem to be a big deal, but it is. It does help. The numbers matter, especially when you're trying to get sponsorships, etc. Those things matter. So if you would, please do that. It's at the NotBland Show on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. We have fun over here every Tuesday night, and when we have special shows as well. So, like I said, looking forward to talking to Stevie Ray a little bit about his career. What's going on, Blake? How's it going, man? I'm doing great. Couldn't be better. It's been hot though, man. Hot here in South Georgia. But I can't complain. Life is good. The guy loves racing, has been at 2 races, has hung out with Kenny Bernstein, has been with Lee Beard. They're good friends. So it's going to be a cool conversation. I had seen some interviews with him prior, and for a wrestler, you know how some people they stay in character all the time. Like a guy like MJF, I'm sure there's very rarely a time in public that he's not MJF. But Stevie wasn't like that. Like, work was work for him, and when he was done, he was just Stevie, the guy. So I'm interested to talk to him about that as well. We had a great weekend in NHRA Championship drag racing. Tony Stewart gets the win. Impressive for what they're doing. And I think you guys have heard me say this on the show. I talked to Tony in Gainesville about it as well. And, Tony deserves a lot of credit for maintaining patience in a results-based business, especially when you're Tony Stewart. You're the owner of this team. Tony is about winning, obviously. Look at his career and what he's put forth. It's very easy to get frustrated, make knee-jerk reactions because the results aren't showing up like you think they should. And they've given Neil an opportunity to right the ship, to allow him to find his groove, and it's paid off. It paid off right at the season's beginning. I know they exited second round in both the first 2 races of the season, but that car was running pretty consistent. And the last time I checked, he was the only car to run down that raggedy track in Gainesville to start Sunday's eliminations. He was the only one. And now you're talking about a 4-race stretch here where they've been to every final, and he's won 2 of those. So impressive for Tony and the team. And I was talking with Dave W. We were texting back and forth, and Jason Galvin is like, after they ran that 60, he's like, oh, they're for real. We got to start, they're a legitimate contender. And I was like, wait a minute. I just want to see him to repeat it. They got to repeat it a little bit. We saw it once. We got to see him repeat it. And they repeated it in eliminations. And Dave W goes, "Are you a believer now?" Look, I'm all about giving people credit when it's due. And you know how it is. We've seen it before. We've seen teams run 60s in qualifying, and we don't seem to ever really kind of repeat that on a regular basis. But to be able to pull that out in eliminations, it took guts, obviously, because you don't want to be the one that goes out there and smokes the tires and gives it up for your driver, especially as well as Tony had been running all day as a driver. And to go out there and put that number up really said a lot about them as a team being aggressive, but it says a lot about Neil and that they have finally found something. And the consistency that they've had over these last 4 races has shown up big time, and it's huge for this squad. And they are now have to be looked at as a contender for the championship, as he is your points leader. Pretty impressive stuff. Really thought that they were very impressive this past weekend. And to have to go out there and you got to find a whole lot of something against Justin Ashley, and to be in the ballpark where he needed to be to get the dub was impressive. And his lights were pretty decent. His worst one was really in the second round with the 80. Other than that, very good day for him. And when he needed to step up to make a play, he made a play. And his crew chief gave him a card to be able to win. So impressive. Memphis Lonnie says it sounds like now that Tony Stewart believes in Tony Stewart. Yeah. I understand, he's really had a real humble approach to this whole thing. Being very, I don't want to say cautious, but he has taken his time and understanding that he's got to learn things. And I thought something that was pretty interesting during his press conference. He talked about Sean Langdon, and he's like, it's the little things that sometimes can trip you up, and that other drivers know what your struggles are. And he talked about the fact that how when Sean Langdon pulls in, he's so shallow that he flickers the bulb. Well, he saw the bulb flicker, and he's like, in his own head and trying to figure out whether he's in and whether the tree's going to drop, and it threw him off. But now he knows that. But his whole thing is that people like Sean Langdon, like Justin Ashley, like Antron Brown, they know those little nuances, those little things that they've learned, and the little things about being a driver that can trip him up that he doesn't yet know. And he's learning those little things. And he said that's one of the things that, he loves about this sport. It's those little things. And, as he begins to, maturate, it's going to be real cool to see how far he can go. I tell you what, too, that pedal job that he had, and I believe that was in round 2, that right there was the highlight, or I would say the play of the day for Team TSR. The way he pedaled the car, if you pay attention and have watched it back, I mean, those throttle blades were barely open, and he feathered it like a pro. And let's face it, Tony has not had to pedal a car in that instance. Very rare, if at all, he's had to pedal in that like that. He did an excellent job, and most are too quick on the throttle, and he allowed the car to settle down, eased back into it, had to get in and out of it a few times to leg that thing down. down the track, but that was the play of the day for Tony. Big time. Drag Race Bam says Tony Stewart actually has a shot for the championship this year. He does. It's legitimate. It's a legitimate shot for a championship, especially the way that they've been running over the last 4 races. So I'm looking forward to seeing what goes down here within these next coming races. We're in the second quarter of the regular season right now, if I'm not mistaken. It's first 1, 2. Yeah, we're 2 races in to the second quarter of the regular season. So really impressed with what we're seeing out of that team. And look, the other competitors now, they're going to have to bring their A game. And they're going to have to respect that car when it goes out there. Back 1320 says, I find it cool that Tony's first 2 wins were both 25th anniversary Wallies. Yeah. The likes of that happening, right? That is pretty cool. Pretty cool to get silver Wallies. That's pretty good. I'm very happy for him, that team. They've worked really hard. Struggled a lot last year, but to see the hard work pay off for them, it is good to see. It's great for this sport of drag racing. Jack Beckman gets the winning funny car. Looks like 2 JFR cars again, running well, running lights, evenly again. I am a little bit, and I am going to be critical here. I don't understand what the deal was with the red lights. Okay. Because it was unnecessary, in my opinion. And here's my thought process here on that whole deal. So we have Paul Lee, who pretty much, for the most part, probably had the second best car on the premises this past weekend. Okay. I know, struggled to get down the racetrack in 2, right? In the first round. Both cars did. Both Paul, Buddy did. Austin Prock hadn't run that great all year. Hold on, guys. They hadn't run that great all year. And this weekend, they didn't run great. Came out, they had a 388 in the first round. Sure, fine. Okay, I get it. But they've been getting the yips around the second round a lot this year. And to go red and not give yourself an opportunity, that's tough, man. Like, come on. At least give yourself a shot. There was no reason to get up on the wheel and try to cut an amazing light. Just do what you've been doing. Because when you do stuff like that, what ends up happening is what we saw there. You go red. And that was just not, it didn't have to happen that way, especially when that car didn't even run well. So you gave him a win that, again, the car hasn't been that consistent enough to be that scared for your life to have to go up there and take a shot at the tree. Sorry, guys. but I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just don't like that. I don't like giving away stuff when you don't have to. Drag Race Mayhem says, gotta call out everyone who doubted Neil. Now, people honestly acted like he was just a no-name crew chief and he didn't go runner-up with Aaliyah in 2023. I agree. But I'm okay with the criticism. But I'm also of the club that there was no need to make any knee-jerk reactions. No need to make any knee-jerk reactions at all. Sometimes guys struggle, and sometimes when you're trying to have success, you're also trying not to be the one that's resting on what we've done before. You're always trying to improve your program so that you stay ahead of the game. So like I said, I just applaud Tony Stewart for being patient with Neil Strasbaugh. And let's go to commercial. And when we come back, we will have Stevie Ray. We will talk to him about some championship drag racing and drag racing in general, right after a word from our sponsor.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
And I am super excited to have on 10-time WCW Tag Team Champion, Stevie Ray. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, buddy, what's up, man? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Appreciate you inviting me to the show. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. It's glad that you are doing well. And I'll ask you about wrestling on the backside. You love drag racing. Have you been able to catch any of the NHRA championship season here in 2025?
Oh, yeah. I've been catching drag racing since I was a little boy, man. Yeah, and sometimes I'm busy. Sometimes I don't know when it's coming. The schedule has changed a lot, and the programming has changed a lot from Fox and things of that nature. But hey, man, I still stay in touch, man. I still stay in touch and catch it whenever I can, man. Matter of fact, I caught Tony Stewart winning this week, and,
yes.
and that was he's a friend of mine, and I wish I had said some things to him after he won that race, because Tony and I go way back. So, he's like a professional wrestler that was never a professional wrestler. So
right.
We got a whole nother vernacular when we see each other. You know what I'm saying? most people wouldn't want to be around when they see him and I. So congratulations to him, man. He's doing very well.
Yeah. They struggled a little bit last year. And I told him in Gainesville in the press room, I just told him, in a results-based business where, winning is of the top and of the premium, I commended him for his patience, for giving Neil Strasbaugh, his crew chief, an opportunity to figure this thing out. And as we see, they had a rough track in Gainesville. They were the only ones in first round to get down the racetrack. And then you see in this four race stretch, they've made it to all the finals and they've won 2 of these things. Patience and knee-jerk reactions, non-knee-jerk reactions pay off when you just allow things to organically work.
Yeah, that's true. I can agree with that. And it seems like slowly but surely, man, just like anything else, man, adaptability.
Right.
Everybody working together, everybody figuring out what's what. We seen that this weekend with the Ferrari team in Formula One, step by step, inch by inch, because the world of everything right now in every sport is so competitive.
Right. It
You know,
is.
back in the day, different, whether it be racing, football, basketball, whatever, you knew who the players were. But see, nowadays, everything has slowly but surely, you know, you're in that bubble. That 6 guys has turned into 12, 13, 14 guys.
Yes.
Even in basketball. Look what's going on in basketball right now. Indiana and New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Looking at each other across the fence. Come on. Who called that?
Not too
Who
many
called
people.
it? No.
Not too many people.
No. You know how this world goes now. So
Exactly.
that's what's great about competition, man. That's what's great.
It is, and I love the parity across all the sports right now. The unpredictability. You know, we talk about we listen to older people, and I'm 44, so I understand. You know, the 80s and the early 90s of drag racing were fun, and they always talk about them being the golden years. But when you really break it down. And you actually look at the rosters that were out there, there were 5 good cars out there most of the time. And you knew who was pretty much going to end up in the final because those other guys really didn't have a chance. And these days, you've got cars now from 1 to 16 that can put you out if you go up there and think that you're just going to roll up to the starting line and go and just snag a win.
That's what I love about it, man. You know, because people are always looking for the upset. But see, nowadays, that word upset, is it really? Now, back in the day, what you just got through chronicling, yes, that word applied.
Yes.
But nowadays, does that word really apply? Oh, he was upset. Really? Or did I just get in your ass?
Exactly.
You dig? You know what I'm saying? Today I'm on you. You dig? So I got a problem with when people say things like that sometimes, depending on what sport it is or who the matchup is. They got upset. No, not today. My word.
The hell?
But you know, the verbiage is what it is. But I'm just saying, now the parody, the word that you just used, the parody has shrunk. So I think sometimes certain words have been said so much, people don't know how to stop saying them.
That's true. That's true. We got kind of gotten conditioned to those words. You know, I grew up the same way. My uncle, I really didn't really pay attention to drag racing when I was young. And my uncle had a car, and I really wasn't that interested in the beginning. But then I actually started working on it, and he started including us in it and taking us to the track.
Right.
And then I got hooked. But I always say for us and for some of us in the Black community, it wasn't like the track wasn't really the first thing. Like I learned drag racing from people because maybe a family member or a cousin or a cousin's friend had a race car, and there was a big money race, and they take it to the street. And we talking about car haulers and all, take it to the street, money on the line, and run those cars on the street. Know about a racetrack before then.
Right. Well, back years ago when I was coming up, man, I'm trying to remember the first time I went to. Well, I'm here in Houston. We had a racetrack on the southeast side, but I had never gone to it. I passed by it many times, but I had never gone to it as a teenager and stuff like that. Because, but I did watch on television, and then they built a new track here in Houston in Baytown, and that's when I, started going. Because, like you said, so many of the street racers were going and stuff like that, and so many of those guys were my friends. Matter of fact, I was one of those street racers back in the day. I don't like to admit that I was doing a lot of illegal stuff. You know what I'm saying? Working all week, and then betting money on certain people. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, man. But what really got me into drag racing as a kid was the Hot Wheels. See, when I was a kid, they had the Hot Wheels. They had the Snake and the Mongoose. I was just explaining this to a buddy of mine who's totally oblivious to drag racing. So I was telling him some things I'm trying to do with a brand that I have, and why I wanted to do it in the way I was doing it. And I said, I remember the snake and the mongoose for kids was an eye-opener for kids all over the United States of America, regardless what race, creed, or religion you were. You took a side because Mattel, Hot Wheels made kids take a side with those commercials and stuff like that. And I still remember that. I still remember the house we were living in. And brother, me and my little friends, we all had the Hot Wheels, and we were combined our sets together and stuff like that. Yeah. And brother, that brought up a conversation last week between me and my friend, and all this stuff started coming back to me, man. And then years later, it was a movie. I was telling my friend, it was a movie made about the snake and the mongoose. Yeah. I don't know how true the story was, but because that was we've seen the Formula One stories. We've seen the Cha-Cha Mo Downey story as far as drag racing goes. Yeah. We've seen the Indy stories. You know what I'm saying? And all those different movies about all those motorsports. Right. But the snake and the mongoose, to me, as far as drag racing go, and I don't know if you agree with me or other people out there agree with me, that was pro wrestling 101. If you see what I'm saying. The way they promoted that was pro wrestling 101, man. And people wanted to come see, you know, who wins between a snake and a mongoose. Loved it as a kid.
Over here, people, but we'll pop back up here.
I got you. You was froze there for a minute, but I got you.
Yeah, we both did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a big deal, and it made people buy in. That's what I always thought about drag racing then, is that it made you take a side. Like you were either Chevy, Ford, Dodge. You know what I mean? You were either a John Force fan, or you were a Cruz Pedregon fan, or you were
Cruz Pedregon. I think that may be taking it a little far. You know, that might be taking it a little far. That's my boy. That's what I'm saying. That's my boy. So I hope he's listening.
Yeah,
that's my boy.
Even guys like we talked about Don Pernone, but even Eddie Hill, there was a side taken then.
Yes.
And that was really masterful job by Mattel.
Oh yeah,
doing that.
That's when you can stir up controversy like that within any, and like I said, this was early 70s when this was going on, man. And brother, we're little African-American kids in the inner city in Houston, Texas. We are bought into this. We are bought into this rivalry, man. All our parents got to buy us these little sets. You know what I'm saying? You know, the cars went down, looped around and stuff like that, man. You know, oh my God, man. That's what I'm saying is one reason I guess that really resonated with kids all over the country, because it was a rivalry. You remember all sports had a rivalry back in those days.
Yep.
Drag racing had its rivalry. And I think that kind of put them up there with NASCAR and IndyCar and things of that nature, especially with little kids back in those days, man. And I honestly believe that kind of stuff is good for sport, period.
It is.
I just do.
It is. I agree. And I wish, look, I at the end of the day, look, man, you can be friends and do those things. I just wish when you naturally don't like somebody, it's okay to not like somebody. Mm-hmm. We don't have to play nice in the sandbox and act like everything is kumbaya when you know this person doesn't care for the other person at all.
Right.
That's TV.
Right.
That's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People can relate to that.
Hey, you don't think I know that from where I come from?
Yeah, the world of wrestling, absolutely.
Brother, you need it. All sports need it. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a book about that right now.
Oh, man.
What we're talking about. I'm writing a book about that as we speak. Matter of fact, hold on a second here. I'll show you. Sure. This is one of my notepads that I'm at my desk right now where I do a lot of writing. Yeah. And you can see my stuff behind me. This is where I do my podcast and stuff at. And all of this stuff, man. This is where I do my dirty work. And I'm writing about that very thing right now, how so many different things in pop culture, from sports to music to politics even, has taken professional wrestling, different little ideologies, and implemented them into what they do, and they have enhanced what they do and made millions off it. But there's a catch to it that I got a problem with. You never reached out and said thank you.
That is a problem.
That's what the book is actually about.
I like this.
You never said thank you. You took it and tried to make it your own. And I got different excerpts in the book, whereas these things have been going on for a zillion years, and those things are going to be in the book too, to make it a template to make you understand why I'm writing this book and why this book is so important to me, because I look at professional wrestling. It's something that I did, something I was always fond of, but it was never 100% me. And I see how so many people used to downgrade it when it was soap culture. But see, now professional wrestling has become pop culture. And now professional wrestling is drawing more money than everybody that used to denigrate it years ago.
That's true.
So now the same thing that you wouldn't even admit that you watched and admit that you enjoyed now has become bigger than what you were a part of. So now when you used to denigrate it, now what do? You bite off of it like a little fish biting off the big fish.
Yeah.
And then you apply it to what you do. And then here comes the Jerry Springer show. And here comes the reality show, the Real Housewife shows. Here comes the beefs in sports. Here come the beefs in politics. Here come all these different things that has bitten off what we've been doing for 100 years. And you never gave us credit for it. So I'm calling everybody out on it. Everybody out. And I'm doing research. You see that piece of paper there?
Yeah.
See this desk? You see this phone? You see my computer right here? I'm doing the research, baby. And I'm calling everybody out on it. Yes.
I love it.
Because you double stuck your hand out and said, thank you, pro wrestling, for making us see what you guys saw 100 years ago. What did Denzel Washington say in the movie Training Day? Remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember that movie. That's one of my favorites.
Okay, you remember when he told the Ethan Hawke character? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
That's right.
Old Radar's going to prove it.
I love it. And Mr. Goat here is right. Wrestling has influenced the world far more than anyone would ever care to admit. And it is 100% true. And I think we see it even more so today just because we have social media, we have more TV coverage, things of that nature. You know, there's a lot of things that we see that were done that we see being copied today. When you look at wrestling from where you come from or where it is today, what are your thoughts on where we are and the fact that now we actually have an alternative company in AEW that to me is great because it puts a little pressure on WWE to stay fresh, but it also gives wrestlers a place to go as well.
You know, to answer that question, you 100% right about the talent having more places to go and be seen and get notoriety and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, AEW and WWE are like apples and oranges. Because see, WWE sets the template for what they've done because they've been doing this for so long. They have they kind of remind me of the New England Patriots offense with Josh McDaniel and Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's a good
They kind of remind me of that. A lot of teams took a long time to catch up with what they were doing because Josh McDaniel was a genius in that offense. And you go, wow, that offense really goes. And even when you shut it down, it'll do something at the end of the game to win. Now, that's competition, okay? But let's talk about entertainment. Well, WWE, the reason I put that template together and tried to make it kind of mimic each other is that is what WWE did for years. They were ahead of the game on the entertainment side of professional wrestling, trying to take it to a pop culture, level. Yeah. Whereas back when I was doing my thing in the 90s and early 2000s, you still had people thinking in a professional wrestling format because they couldn't get out of that. If you see what I'm saying, they couldn't get out of the fact that the only thing that they know is professional wrestling. They don't know the entertainment side. They can try to know it, but you're not trained in that. You're trained in going in front of people, gigging yourself, making blood everywhere, and everybody looking at the train wreck, okay? Yeah. Whereas WWE was like, hey, we got Cyndi Lauper out here. Hey, we got Muhammad Ali out here with us. We're trying to go to a level of no return. We're not competing. In essence, WWE, we're not competing against other wrestling organizations anymore. You know who we're competing against? The FBI, CSI. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
American Idol.
Right.
You dig? We're not competing against other organizations. We're competing against television shows and pop culture. So I think that's the difference when you really sit down and look at it. And I know this for a fact. Okay. Right. I know this for a fact. I'm reaching for the stars. You're reaching for the next audience.
That's a good point. I like that. That makes a whole lot of sense. It really does. And they are definitely.
Yeah, because when I'm reaching for the stars, everybody wants to get on the rocket. That's the only way you can get to the stars, bro.
Right. Right.
I'm going to leave you right here on Earth looking for the next audience, which is good. But, brother, I'm Neil Armstrong, bro.
Yeah.
That's WWE. But at the end of the day, they're setting the precedents. Believe me, they're setting the precedents. And hey, man, they've always been that way. And I remember when we did the NWO thing and it beat WWE for 83 weeks and all that stuff. You know why it never prospered and went to another level? Because they didn't know what they was doing. It was like Jed Clampett. He struck oil in his backyard and didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Duke, the old hound dog, went over and that was WCW. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm not trying to throw salt on nothing. I'm just, when people got that mindset, I'm looking for the stratosphere.
Right.
They're going to get it, bro.
Right.
They're going to get it.
Not just reaching for the next thing that's in front of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The mindset does change a lot when you look at things that way. Stevie, before we let you get out of here, I know you got a couple things going on. You said you had a brand that you're working on as well outside of this book.
Oh yeah,
tell us about that real quick.
Well, I can't tell you about that, man. Why are you trying to bring up my brand? Why are you trying to get me to put all my business in the street, man? What you talking about, bro?
You're not ready for that yet.
I tell you what. Actually, I'll come back on the show when the brand is ready. But what I'm trying to do is underneath my brand, I want to do some I got some ideas to do for professional drag racers. 4 to 5 to be exact. One Tony Stewart, one Cruz Pedregon, one Antoine Brown, and a couple of more. And I want to do some figurine T-shirts of them.
I love
what I'm trying to do is combine professional wrestling, like what we're talking about right now,
right,
and drag racing together. And I want to make these guys into superheroes. Because when I was a little boy, I wanted to be a race car driver, but I didn't know God was going to make me 6'5", 290 pounds. Okay. And you know that. Plus I was always a workout guy. I was always a workout guy. My older brother gave me my first weight set when I was 15 years old, and I've been working out ever since. So 2 things that I always loved in life was working out and race cars. So in my head, that's how I see a race driver. In my head.
Yeah.
He's not just a race driver. He's a Dick Dastardly, if you remember that cartoon. That's what he was, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I see a Tony Stewart. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But only in my head. And I want to put that and let people see it and see if people will like it, man. That's what I want to do, man.
I love that concept. And
yeah,
we'll definitely have you back on. And I'd love to have you back on and have more conversation. This was absolutely a blast. Thanks to Caleb Cox for putting this together. And,
who?
You know, that guy.
I don't know him. Did he steal my phone? Did he steal my number and give it to you?
I don't know. I'm not gonna tell on him.
Oh, you ain't gonna pimp on him? Nah, that's my boy, man. That's my boy. Stevie, I appreciate him too. I appreciate him too.
Yeah. And we'll be in touch, man, and we'll have you back on soon.
Really most definitely, brother. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stevie Ray, everybody. Great time. Great time. And we're gonna have him on again. I love his thought process and the thinking about wrestling and how the world has stole a lot of things from wrestling and just his look on that as well. And obviously the drag racing as well. All of it makes it fun. And we're gonna quickly come in here. We got Jason Bunker, the crew chief of Cruz Pedregon Racing. Jason, what's going on, man? Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on.
Man, it's been a bit of a whirlwind for you guys. You've been going through it, but you really look good on Saturday. I mean, on Sunday, everything just kind of turned in another direction.
Yeah, Sunday was a nice little bounce back for us, considering what's gone on the last couple of races. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way to put it. A nice little bounce back, shows a little resilience. A little adversity doesn't hurt every once in a while, but I think at the end of the day, that kind of flipped the switch and kind of made us all pull for it a little harder. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. So back to Saturday. That boomer was like, where the heck did that come from? What was that? Was that kind of your thought process when you saw that all go down? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like Groundhog's Day. It was like what just happened? They're almost surreal at that moment, but very unfortunate. You know, not what we want to do, not how we want to go out there and represent ourselves and represent, you know, Snap-on and represent all the sponsors that support us. But yeah, it's just unfortunate on a lot of levels. And I think that it doesn't really cast, you know, how we want to be portrayed out there. I know we're not out there trying to tear stuff up. I'm not out there trying to tear anything up. Main thing is safety of crews. I mean, that's always number one. And anytime you put a guy in jeopardy like that, it's not a very good feeling.
Yeah. What exactly happened in that instance as far as?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're still working to pinpoint exactly what it is. We've got a pretty good pretty good feeling for what took place, why it happened, what's been plaguing it, why it reared its head. I really don't want to get into that publicly
No.
here. I think at the end of the day, I think we recognized it right away. I had a guy go back to Indy. Caleb was a little under the weather, helped meet him part of the way from Chicago to Indy. We kind of flipped it all around, put some parts on it that we had run last year, ran all of last year, and put it together for Sunday. All of our guys, man, I kind of want to say something. All my guys, all these guys on this team branded together, kept their heads up, smile on their face. We worked our tails off and, fired the thing up Sunday morning, ready to rock and roll for first round. And we strung together a couple of good runs. Kind of unfortunate how the semis went. Kind of got a little over center, got a little greedy. But at the end of the day, I think it just really shows, hard work pays off, paying attention pays off, going with what pays off, being smart about the approach pays off. So hopefully we turn a corner on that. We haven't had a bad car this year. We've had a pretty decent race car.
Yeah.
These two backfires are kind of isolated incidents. It doesn't really speak to the volume of the quality of a race car we've got. And I think that as we move forward, I think this will be a spot where we can look at it and go, hey, we flipped it around right here in Chicago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The progress has been seen over this year. Had your struggles last year, but things are new. Everything's especially in this game is a learning process, and sometimes things don't necessarily go the way that you want them to, because we are dealing with nitro here at the end of the day.
No doubt.
And the consistency has developed, and even though that was devastating on Saturday, it's like, man, the car was just repeating like nobody's business. And I even tweeted that out. It's like I don't think people understood what went into you guys being able to do what you guys did on Sunday with all that went down, and being able to have to get parts, working late into the night to get that car ready for Sunday, and to do what you guys did it is remarkable, because there's a lot of people that maybe not make it in that instance, with all of the complex that had to go into getting that car back together, to be prepared to run on Sunday.
Yeah, there was people who were asking like, "Oh, are you guys gonna make Q4 after it happened in Q3?" And it was more like, "Well, let's pump the brakes here for a minute." Like I mentioned before, there's a guy's safety at jeopardy here, and I think that that needs to be precedent. You know what I mean? Always, that needs to be precedent. So we took a step back, look at it, and go, how are we going to address this? How are we going to fix this? And I think we made the right choices as far as going back to what we know, going back to something that was proven, going back to just going down a path that's going to lead us back to giving, okay, let's focus on performance and consistency and how to turn on win lights and get some wins here. You know what I mean? That's the main goal.
Is it sometimes, and I've often wondered this, I know in the business of drag racing and as a tuner, you always want to be ahead of the game. You don't want to get caught by other teams when it comes down to your combination. Is it sometimes that you're trying to work on something and maybe like sometimes you just go down a rabbit hole and you kind of get lost and you're like, okay, time to hit the reset button. Let's back this thing up. Let's go back to something that we know is proven. And then once we get that going, then let's see what we can add as we go on. But we got to develop the consistency first.
Yeah, I think consistency is first and foremost. You know what I mean? I think there are so many good cars in Funny Car right now, top to bottom. I mean, you look at the qualifying sheets and it's 16 cars rolling into the lanes on Sunday morning, and you can go, yeah, you can win it. And I feel like we can win it. You know what I mean? I feel like we're one of those cars that quietly we've been stringing together some runs. Quietly, we've been stringing together some consistency, and quietly, we've just been doing our own homework, keeping our mouth shut, working on our program, working on our team, and kind of branding together. You know what I mean? This is year 2. Yeah. We got Lee over here this year. I think that, Cruz has afforded us so many good things over here and has given us such a great opportunity, myself included, obviously. And we just want to put that dude in the winner's circle. That's the end goal. You know what I mean? He's done more in drag racing than people realize. He's an asset on a lot of levels. You know, yeah, he's the owner. Yeah, he's the driver, you know, but I'll be honest with you. Like for me, you know, I'm a young guy out here, you know, got to earn our stripes. And I think that for me, it's nice having a guy that I can rely on a lot of levels. He's not just a driver. He's not just the owner. You know, he's a guy that I can go to and bounce ideas off of. He's brought some great ideas to the table with this race car. You know, he's become a good friend of mine. We've got a great relationship. And I think that at the end of the day, you know, we just want to give him the best race car he can have. So,
yeah, he's one of the good guys. I'll ask you this question from Blake. He says, how long do you think it'll take for you guys to get your first win with Cruz?
It's coming.
I think it's coming too. I do. There's so many things that are working in you guys' favor. And I think I think one thing, especially in sports, it's not always about how you respond when things are going good. It's how you respond when things are going bad. And when you have something like that happen, and the way you guys responded on Sunday says a lot, especially for a young team, young crew chief like yourself, which I applaud, because I'm huge on young guys getting an opportunity to be crew chiefs, because the old guys aren't going to be here forever. Yeah. It got to pass the torch. And we see your maturation process. And on Sunday, I think we saw the whole entire team come together and lock in and put together a nice group of runs. And it was unfortunate, but I felt like you guys could get in the final right there in that race. But it's a good start to something I think that's going to catapult you guys here as we get going in the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes happen at certain levels, whether it's making decisions on the race car. You can have mistakes places, you can cover it up. It's the unforced stuff that, kind of rears its head. And I think it was, I don't know, Muhammad Ali maybe said it, but it's like everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that we got punched in the mouth the last couple of races. And I think right now, Sunday we looked at it, there was a lot of peers out there that, after first round, after second round, even competitors we raced walking away, they're like, hey, nice recovery, great job, hats off. You need anything, let us know. It was, there's a lot of brotherhood out here, and there's a lot of great people, great competitors. There's a lot of good guys out here that care about, seeing us do well as a team, seeing Cruz do well. And like I said, making sure that guy's safe. That's always number one for me.
Yeah, man. You're right, Caleb. Mike Tyson. And
sorry, Caleb.
Ryan Elliott says, can't have a testament without a test. Awesome job by the team this weekend. Testament is coming soon. Yeah. Definitely. I agree with that.
That's absolutely right. Ryan's dead on with that.
Yeah. I'm really, I have there's a soft spot. I don't root, but I do in certain instances. Cruz is my guy. Just some of the first people when I got in this business to give me an interview. Plus, I've watched this guy since I was a kid. I'm like, I'm McDonald's Cruz guy.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. I remember when I was a little kid, you'd go to McDonald's and in your Happy Meal, you got the McDonald's funny.
Yes.
I think
that was awesome days.
I think I've still got one, or I think my kids have it, something like that. But I remember all those days.
Yeah. I really want to. I really want to see him get another win, and I think you guys are definitely on the road to that. I don't want to keep you too much longer, Jason, but we'll have you on again when you have more time. I thank you for taking the time to come on the show, and man, keep plugging away. The work is being seen. It is showing up, and it's going to pay off here real soon for you guys.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Talk to you again soon.
See you, sir.
Jason Bunker, everybody. We already know how this whole game goes in drag racing. It's not easy. It's hard out here. And with the level of cars we have, 1 through 16, it's not easy trying to get your own program, knowing what you're seeing around with others going on. The competition is tough. And, you know, it takes time to generate and get a program going. A lot of new moving parts for Cruz as far as the team goes. Now they have one total year under their belt. They're coming into this here to this season, and you do see the maturation process of this team. Just had some little things go wrong here or there, but it's coming together. It's coming together. Nitro Performance guy says so many side-by-side runs on Sunday at Chicago. It was great and fast, just like the Joliet races of old. I agree. Great racing we had. It was really impressive to see the side-by-side races we had in the final. Like I said, Tony, Justin, we're going to see a lot of these cars be in this position. We're talking about those two, and when you go back and look at Top Fuel as a whole, you know, we still haven't seen the best of Brittany yet. We've seen them go out and run asinine numbers. Speed 341. Doug is right there. Sean Langdon is like, look, he's on fire is an understatement. Dude's like, if we're talking wrestling, he's like Jacob Fatu, like just slaying it. Anytime he gets in a car, I mean, the dude comes into this race after he just won 50 grand. I asked him if he could let me hold something, but he never got back to me. But he's on fire. We see Steve Torrance. The car looks good at times. They haven't found that level of consistency, but it is there. It is there. They're still a formidable car that can win. You look at Sean Reed and what they have been able to do. Unfortunate second round, but the car was consistent all weekend. And we've seen that car run numbers since the Pro Superstar Shootout. I mean, they got two great guys over there, Wendland and my guy Ryan Elliott, who I believe is going to be the next crew chief of something, whether it's Sean's or somebody. He's going to be the next crew chief. There's a lot of good cars out here. And I haven't even said anything about Antron Brown. Josh Hart's starting to find a level of consistency, and Clay Milliken. And then we have these part-timers that show up that don't race like part-timers. I mean, if Sean Reed blinks the wrong way, Dan Mercier puts him on the trailer. He won on a whole shot. Dan Mercier went 374 with an 8. They went 375 flat. He won because he left first. That's how good these part-timers are. Spencer Massey and the Crystal Baldwin ride. They were at a 378 with a 4. This stuff is tough, man. This is tough stuff. And Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, it's tough. Tough sledding out here. Caleb says, my and Ryan Elliott are me and Riley Elliott are trying to be co-GMs of the Colts. They need somebody. They need somebody, because I'm going to be brutally honest here, Caleb. I do not see the Colts doing much of anything this year. Houston obviously is the pseudo front runner, but I'm not sure what we're going to get from Houston when they just pretty much dismantled their whole offensive line. Tennessee is in a rebuild mode. So not sure we're going to get from them. But I do see Jacksonville with Liam Cohen. I know a lot of people don't trust Trevor Lawrence, but I do see Jacksonville being a team that could spike up. With that said, though, a possible regression with Houston, I don't see Tennessee doing too much. If they can find a level of some kind of cohesiveness, the Colts could actually find themselves in that number 2 slot. And nobody's saying that Jacksonville's shoe-in to win the division, right? The whole thing is wide the hell open. They just don't need to step on the cranks like they've been doing. Right? That's the main thing. They just can't be stepping on the cranks. And they've been doing too much of that. Ryan says, oh, yeah, I'm coming in like Vince McMahon with your yes, a lot of people need to be fired. They might, especially with that Duval, that weird look. I don't know. He kind of lost me right there, but I think they got a shot. I'm going to touch on something else real quick before we get out of here. We're running a little over, but that's okay. Pro Stock Motorcycle. This is going to be a Matt engaged battle, but don't count out Richard Gatson. He had a bad light, had a great bite, bad light. And let's face it, yes, it was a bad light, but Steve had a great light. It was a 33. Not saying that Richard couldn't cut that because he cut a 36 in round one. 36 in round one. So it's not like he can't do it. It just happens. It's just one of those things. But his time is coming. With that said, though, and I'll probably say this again on the Power Hour if it brings up, but I really wish I was very taken back that Tony he's human, and I get that, but Tony was affected by keyboard warriors. And I've said this about Erica Enders, and I mean that for pretty much all these top athletes. Don't read the comment section. I mean, didn't Tony say it's just people just behind their keyboards in their mama's basement that they never accomplished nothing? Right. 90% of the time that is. Some people are just trolling. I don't give people the time of day on dumb stuff because I ain't got time. I just don't. You're at the pinnacle. There's no reason to worry about what somebody that typed a couple words. They can't come to the ropes and say it in your face. And there's some people that will. But they can't come to the ropes and say it in your face. And it really ain't no reason to dignify it. Now, Tony Stewart, to me, is kind of like any other top athlete. And I say the same thing about Erica Enders. A lot of times, man, they read these newspaper clippings because they looking for some reason to be pissed off because that's the way they operate. Focus. You look at any great, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, any great. Michael Jordan would make up stuff to be pissed about and go out and hammer his opponent. So I'm okay with that in that instance, but there's no reason to respond to these people at all. Exactly. Nah, he wasn't reading them daggone comments. We're bigger than that, man. Like, bigger than that. I don't understand it. I don't read dumb comments. I don't read stupidity. I used to early in my media career, and I learned very quick. Why? Because they're not where I'm at all, not even close. And half the time, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. And a lot of times, they're just doing it to get a rise out of you. And usually, at the end of the day, your loyal fans will likely take care of it in the comments anyway. They will slaughter that person. Even if it's an idiot media outlet, it don't take long before people start taking up for you. Your fans and those who support you will get them. You don't need to respond to any of it. Guys are bigger than that. And I say that about football players too. I mean, really? I mean, come on, man. No reason for that nonsense. No reason for it. John says it's a fuel. It's a fuel for me. It's to go out and prove people wrong. Hence, funny car license now. Hey, anybody that's renting a car, he wants to get his license. He's got cash. Yeah, I understand the fuel part of it, but I'm just not gonna let it get to me to be out here giving them credence. It's a waste of time. Drag Race Mayhem says if that got him, I couldn't imagine NHRA drivers reacting to the Formula F1 fan base when they say about Tony is nothing compared to how brutal F1 fans are. I've heard that. Don't pay attention to it very much, but I have heard that. I watch a few people who cover that, and I've heard that they're brutal. Randy Johnson, hey, man, thanks for tuning in. As always, he says, Leah and Tony are a team. I like and admire both. He is driving Leah's car right now, but when ready, she'll be back in it. Yep, he made that very clear at the beginning of the season in Gainesville. Tony will find something else to drive, not competing with Leah. I think so. I think he'll do something. Maybe he goes back to, top alcohol. I don't know if you can take a step back after you've been in a fuel car, but yeah, I agree. He made it clear though. Once she's ready to come back, he is gladly going to step out of the car. It's her car, he says. So, and I admire that. But I also admire what he's doing too. Ever since he's been here, he's done nothing but take this sport seriously, and he chose to learn about it. He took interest in what she does, and then wanted to know what it felt like what she went through. And of course, like he said in his interview, post race, got fish hooked. So, he's hooked now. So, it is. They are a formidable team together. It's cool to see her on the starting line. Her support of him, their support of each other. It's really, really cool to see. Memphis Lonnie says, "Oh, Duchesne, that's not true about the dumb comments you read. My laugh all the time. I wouldn't say that they're dumb, Memphis. I wouldn't say your comments are dumb. F1 fans can come and get these though." Yeah, I'm okay with that. Mystery Goat says the reverse is true also. Don't need to look at social media for validation. Social media is such a minority. If you try to cater to them, you cater to the lowest denominator. I agree. That's my whole point. And very well said. That's my whole point. Because really what we see on social media is really, it's made and magnified. And that's a whole nother road. But even news media these days use that, and it looks like it's the majority when it really is just a minority. And minority is like, it's a bit of an overstatement. That's how small it is, but it's magnified to be that big. That is a good place to go. Good suggestion, vision there, Randy Johnson. I didn't even think about that, but Pro Mod could be it. Could be it. Man, that would be cool to see him do that. Really cool to see him do that. Scott says, I tune out negativity. Positive thoughts and energy will grow the sport. Agreed. I always say this, and I know, Joe, he loves the positivity. WFO Joe, great show and good guy. And I respect that. I think there's a time for criticism constructively. And, some people criticize and don't really have the facts or the numbers to back it up. And I always think you need to have some kind of baseline if you have a criticism. Because, I'm of the Jim Rome deal that you have a take and you don't suck, and saying something sucks is not a take. So I really do think that you really have to have facts or numbers or something to back that up with. I think sometimes constructive criticism is good. Criticism, it can be good. And when it is warranted, I do not see any issue with it. But I also do not like people just being negative for the sake of being negative. But that's kind of the world we live in. People are just angry about everything because people watch too much news. Drag Race Mayhem says most are probably bot or troll accounts. Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Yeah, but he would be competing against Matt Hagan. So would he compete against a teammate or as a team owner, his driver? Not sure. Not sure. John says, imagine guys like Al Hoffman having social media and reading comments. Could you imagine that? Al Hoffman on social media? Everyone will always bash Tony because he's NASCAR. However, if you look at his demeanor and body language, he's having a lot of fun. Granted, when I'm on the show with you, yes, we criticize, but it's never telling someone they suck or shouldn't be in the sport. We support every driver, at least give them a little support in the right direction. Agreed. Could you imagine Al Hoffman? Who else would be bad on social media if they lived in the era of social media? Dude, Al would probably they would ban him before he ever even made any kind of footing on social media. Yeah, Randy Johnson, I agree. Not against Matt. I don't think he would go to Funny Car because of him. So your pro mod thing is good. I don't see a pro stocker or anything like that. Oh, yes, Bazemore on social media. Good Lord. He would have murdered John Force on social media. He was murdering the guy at the top end every chance he got. You know what, though? Speaking of Bazemore, love that guy. But you know what I think his downfall was? He worried about John too much. He had his moments, but I think he worried about John too much. Oh, yeah. This is another good one, guys. Warren Johnson on social media. Dangerous. Dangerous. Yeah, those are good ones. Those are good ones. Really good ones. Man, it was a great weekend though, man. Great weekend of racing. I'm looking forward to Epping. What I'm interested in is what the car counts will be. Let's see if I can look at that real quick, if they're even up yet. Let's see. All right. We're going to look at the list here. I'm assuming we're going to have 12 fuelers. We might have more funny cars than fuelers, but I don't know, man. We don't necessarily. Right now, we have 14 dragsters, which I'm surprised. 14 dragsters are on the entry list. I am shocked. I expected 12 or less, at least 12. But we have 14, so 2 away from a full field. Not bad. Funny car, surprisingly, 17. But I believe there are more funny cars in that vicinity. So I think that's why we have 17. Could be wrong, but I believe that's it. Pro stock, 17 as well. So interesting there. We do not have a pro stock motorcycle here at this race. I don't know. Kind of wish they were, but I kind of get it as well. So, not too bad. Numbers are not as bad as I thought they would be. So, good count. Short on dragsters. Maybe we'll have 1 or 2 more pop up. Maybe not. But if we got to go into Sunday or go into the next weekend with 14, then I'm good with that. You said Warren would call more than Dave Connolly and Punk. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pleasantly surprised at the number of cars that we have going in to Epic. So, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff today. I want to thank Stevie Ray for taking the time to come on the show. Yeah, I don't know. Link sometimes does some weird stuff. So, took him a little while to get in, but we'll have him on again. Great conversation. Really enjoyed that. Thanks to Jason Bunker for taking the time out of his busy schedule to spend a few minutes with us to talk about their weekend and the progress that they're making. Man, we're going to have some real cool stuff coming up here over the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to bringing that stuff to you as well. NFL is coming back. We'll have mini camps again. So I'm excited about the football season coming through. Want to direct you guys to sportsjourney.com. That's where you can find some of the articles that I've been putting up here. Yes, I have started writing articles again, but don't get too comfortable. Okay? Don't get too comfortable. That's not what I like to do, but I am doing that. As the chief content director of sportsjourney.com, we have brought back NHRA drag racing, so you will see a lot of that as well as our NFL coverage there. I want to thank Drag Race Bracket Bonanza for our sponsor. Want to congratulate Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall. They won a Telly Award. I want to thank Everything Nitro and, of course, Drag Race Reference, our go-to for all things NHRA drag racing stats. Well, I'm Dujane Bland. This has been the Not Bland Show. Good night, everybody.